Hello, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are. I'm Lama Dawa, and welcome once again to kind of introductory Tibetan Buddhist meditation and practice. Um, Tonight, we're going to continue with our discussion about actual meditation practice, which is built on the foundations of an understanding of basic Buddhist philosophy and the worldview of Tibetan Buddhism. So we have Tal with us again, a beginning student who is really embarking on this path of meditation. And we'll go from here. So welcome, everyone. And again, as always, if you have questions, comments, please feel free. And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Lama Dawa. Appreciate you as well.
So Tal, last week we discussed meditation. I gave some instructions on the practice of shamatha, which is calming the mind and developing focus and concentration, which is the foundation for all future practices and for the development of true insight. So I'd like to know if you have any questions or comments about your experience of last week.
So what I've found is that I tend to rush in the morning, and I have to do something about that because I want to get the benefit of the meditation for the day, and I think that morning makes the most sense. And I'm ending up doing it in the afternoon. I haven't done it as consistently as I'd like, but I'm working on that because it's that whole schedule thing that I want. Do you have any tips or any tricks that you might be able to share?
Well, I'm not going to say any tricks. I'm going to say it really comes down to your motivation. And motivation is based on an understanding, frankly, of our root situation, which is that we are stuck in samsara. We are stuck in ourselves. We are stuck due to our habitual patterns of our mind. And what we really have to do is start to really get it, that it's not as good as it could be, and it's not a satisfactory situation, and that there are various forms of suffering and dissatisfaction in our lives that are both subtle and gross. And this is why meditation practice is actually predicated on contemplation. And contemplation is predicated on receiving and hearing and studying teachings. So there is sort of a sequential order here, you could say. Just to dive into meditation without a real kind of clear understanding of why meditation is important, why it is of tremendous benefit. If we don't have that, then we're not going to prioritize our life and our time to practice. So, because let's face it, meditation doesn't make you money. Meditation doesn't pay your bills. Meditation doesn't find you love. Meditation doesn't do these kinds of things for us. It's a bit more abstract. So we have to sort of reframe for ourselves, what is it we are after? Because obviously we work to make money and to have the kind of lifestyle perhaps we want. Buddhism and Dharma is very, very different. It's not either or. Of course, we should have a good life and we should be comfortable and we should have some sense of creature comforts and security and all that. Very important, and no one's denying that. But there's more to life, right, than just material, let's say material things. And Buddhism is a very large view of things. It's based on actually not thinking about just what I want and need for this life. It's about what's the real long range view, which from kind of a, you could almost say a cosmic perspective, is that we do have further lifetimes ahead of us, further situations in what we call samsara, this world of dualism, and that we don't find anything that really lasts in terms of happiness. It all keeps coming back to the same thing. So This isn't to be boring or repetitious. It's to reiterate how important this is. These fundamentals are actually considered in traditional teachings to be more important than all the other stuff that follows, because you have to have the foundation in place. You can't build anything without a firm foundation, right? So this is the foundation. It's really starting to get it. Now, you've heard this. People that are watching this video have read this, have heard this. What's necessary is really to then mull it over. We call it contemplating it, till you really start to internalize it and really like more profoundly get it, not just on some sort of superficial level, but really get what the implications are and realize this opportunity to even be exposed to this kind of teaching and understanding, thanks to the Buddha and generations of people that have carried this on and passed it on, generation after generation. So here we are in this very modern, complicated world, and yet we have access to very, you could say, ancient truths. It's amazing. Not everybody has access to these things. Many people are just closed-minded, or they just aren't exposed to it. You have that now. So what do you do with it? Like I said, contemplate it, to see for yourself. Don't take my word or anybody's word for it. If it makes sense and you start to really understand in your bones what the implications are, what our situation is, what is suffering. Again, suffering is not a splinter in our finger. It's not getting a bad sunburn. Suffering is all of our deep-rooted insecurities and anxieties and fears and doubts, and the things that we love and try to hold on to, and yet they do slip through our fingers, or ourselves, that the fact that we are aging and we are going to lose our health and our youthfulness. We're going to lose our bodies. We're going to say goodbye to this world. We have to really get it. Otherwise, forget it. There's no point almost.
What if, until we got it, right, until we can get the implications of the practice, we had some gamification where you got points for you got some Buddha points, or like experience points, like they do in a video game, where it like pops up, 53 points, when you do, I guess through an app or something like that, where you get some practice points, Buddhist practice points, Buddhist meditation practice points.
I'm trying to understand where you're going with this. So go on.
I was just thinking how to get someone who may be a new student or new to practicing Buddhist meditation, Tibetan Buddhist meditation, to, until they really fully get the benefits and implications of the practice, coerce them like they do everything else on the planet, like with points. And I know it almost seems contradictory, I guess, right? But I guess you have to want it before you know why it's good.
I will say this, I've said this before, it's not for the faint of heart. It's also not about, let's forget that word coercion. We're not trying to coerce anyone into anything. When I say, this is about personal, this is the loaded word for many Westerners, personal responsibility, taking responsibility for our own lives. And I've often said in the past, I'm not here to spoon feed people. If you need to be spoon fed, maybe this isn't perhaps the path for you. It takes a certain level of already being on the bottom rung of the ladder to, in the sense of having some sort of spiritual maturity, so to speak, to receive these teachings and then take them seriously. It takes a little bit of work on the part of the student. So we're not going to hand this to you or anyone on a silver platter and make it too easy, in a sense. It's already basically being pretty much handed over via YouTube, and it's as easy as it gets,
Well, still people who are asleep in the matrix and are just kind of maybe being introduced to something like this may not necessarily know why it's so crucial or important, or
then perhaps karmically they're not ready and it's not for them at this point, and that's okay. Again, I always say, don't worry about anybody else, these hypothetical other people. We're not here to, I have said this before, we're not here to proselytize, not trying to coerce or convince anybody of anything. You come here of your free will because somehow you have some connection and you recognize some part of you inside goes, that is sanity. These teachings are about sanity, about being sane, about having an enhanced life, right? Some kind of something really positive that we want to bring into our life, more than just what's on the surface, more than just what society or Western civilization or whatever is giving us. You know, they're giving us TV and entertainment and football and baseball and everything else. I mean, it's all there. So this is for people that perhaps realize that's not enough to give somebody the true happiness, that you have to want it. You have to know you deserve it. So that's it. This is not for, that's why I said it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for people that really want to be spoon-fed and babied. This demands a little more of us, but the rewards are commensurately great. So I think that's all I need to say about that. So if the conundrum is, especially for somebody who's kind of getting started, like, how do I get some momentum and how do I get my schedule in order so that I can find time? It goes back to what I originally said. It's your motivation of really, by contemplating and understanding, you're going to get up earlier. You're going to set the alarm a little bit earlier. You're going to, if you need to go to bed earlier or not go to bed earlier, but sacrifice a little bit of that 15, 20 minute snooze time, you know, when you want to just go back under the covers. That's the difference. Now it's helped me in the past by thinking there are hundreds of thousands of people around the world that are getting up before the sunrise at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever, and doing the same practices. And there's a little bit of safety in numbers or comfort in knowing I'm not alone. So I'm probably not crazy. This is a deep, rich tradition. Many really beautiful hearted and smart people are doing this, again, around the world. So I think there's not that sense of, oh God, I'm just doing this. Why am I getting up so early? I need to sleep, whatever we tell ourselves. So, but as you do it, you start to develop some of that feedback loop of, oh, I do feel better. I feel calmer, more relaxed. I have a little more focus in my life or something. And that's, again, not the goal, but that's a start. And that positive feedback loop can, kind of help spur you on to continue doing the practice even when you don't want to. But I will tell you what one of my principal teachers told me, and this is after I've been practicing actually for decades. And he just sort of said, as kind of a gentle reminder, keep practicing consistently. And that was a beautiful thing. I almost didn't need to hear it, because I already really was doing that. But that sort of like was the final nail that was like, yeah, thank you. Great to just remind everybody, keep going. But the real benefits, Tal, come from consistency. This is a long-term thing. If somebody is entering a path of meditation thinking, I'm going to do this and, in a few weeks or a few months, I'll have gotten some benefit and I can sort of go on with my life. That's not what this is. This is something to be thinking, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I've got perhaps decades ahead of me, because this is a practice that, like wine, gets better with age. It matures. Your practice will mature. It will deepen. It will get more profound, more subtle. People don't even know when they're starting what they're capable of and what the benefits can be. And the reason why many people stop is they kind of sell themselves short, or they sell the practice short. Oh, meditation's not that big a deal. It's not that great. Well, actually it is. It's phenomenal. It's unbelievable. But you have to really give it a chance. And again, as I said earlier in a previous video, a large part of what this is about developing patience. Patience, it's so important. It's really underrated as a virtue. It's right up there. It's number one, man. Patience is where it's at, because when you develop that, it gives you the ability to either withstand difficulties and challenges, but it's also a sign of good faith, which we should not underestimate the importance of good faith. But knowing the qualities of, let's say, an enlightened being or enlightenment or profound wisdom, non-dual awareness, we could use lots of terms, but having at least a sense, an inkling of what these things are and that we are capable of it, that's huge. That's the game changer. Because actually most people, I think, have a lot of negative self-talk. I can't do that. Yeah, maybe I can meditate a little bit, but I'll never achieve, whatever. Well, I've told many people over the years, don't stop practicing, don't stop meditating, because even if it doesn't seem like it's going well, or you're plateaued, or you're stuck, I always say, because this is true from my own experience, you don't know what the next meditation session might give you or show you. So
that's why it's called a meditation practice.
It's practice, of course. Yeah.
People, I don't think people give it a chance. I think that and you hear this, they'll say my mind wanders too much. It's like, yeah, duh. Yeah, like that is the hard part, right?
Well, it certainly is. And I addressed that last week in the video. I said, many people, especially when they're starting to meditate, the first few weeks or months or whatever, is they think that their mind is worse and more out of control. But it's really just that they are finally tuning in for the first time and actually starting to glimpse how their mind works. The monkey mind is sometimes it's called, the mind that jumps around and flits from here to there and has no real stability and seemingly out of control. But that's precisely the point. So we have to have a certain tenaciousness, develop that tenacity to stick with it. Because this is about developing mental muscles of focus, muscles of concentration. And you only get there by doing it, So that's it. That's sort of my pep talk. There's no magic answer, but I think these are important things to say to everyone that's watching. If you're a relative beginner and meditator, or even if you've been meditating for years, a good reminder, right?
Yeah, so you got to build your mind muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. And what goes along with the mind, because I want to say this very clearly. Buddhism is not just a path of the mind. Let me say this very clearly. It's a path of the heart. Especially when we talk about Mahayana Buddhism, it's about really developing our love and our kindness and loving compassion, loving kindness, a broader awareness, a more panoramic, universal awareness of the plight of all beings. We're not just in this by ourselves. So by practicing, we can start to wake up even our heart. So the bottom line is, what do we want? We want to be, and I'm going to answer this myself, we want to be the best person we can be. We want to be the best version of ourselves. And we start with all of our flaws, all of our mistakes, all of our confusion, and we acknowledge that, and we forgive ourselves, and we bring it all to our practice, realizing that this is a phenomenal remedy for what ails us and for what ails the world, this world of confusion, this world of tremendous sadness and conflict and confusion. It's everywhere. It's everyone we know. So can we be a solution instead of just be another part of the problem? That's what this is about. This is why the Buddha taught and came into this world, really, to try to shine a light in this darkness. And the principal tool he presented was this path of meditation.
And it's free.
Yeah, well. So any other questions or
Like the reason I mentioned that is the barrier to entry is nothing, which a lot of times
the barrier to all the, excuse me, I'm sorry. The barrier is our own resistance. It's our own ego that doesn't want to be necessarily tamed. That's the barrier to entry. But that's in our own hands. So as I've said before, my wish for anyone watching this is that you, this may sound a little something. My wish is that you fall in love with your meditation practice. With all the challenges and difficulties and the impatience that it brings up and all that stuff, my hope is you fall in love with your practice. And then just do it. Just do it. Give it a chance. Give yourself a chance. You might be very, very surprised